Hey everybody, we're here. Alright, I'm setting up the camera. It's the live lesson for the week. Boom. Getting the piano placement all set up. How is that? Is that good, everyone? Make sure the orientation's right. We're going to be talking about some piano concepts today. Alright, people know you're logging on immediately. I appreciate that. Hey everybody, how's the sound? I have it set up this week so the sound should be really, really good. Log on to go to my YouTube here. Watch myself live, which is always really weird. My channel, live now, that's me, 8 watching. Live now, that's me, 8 watching. Live now. Ooh, now we're gonna get feedback. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Good sound in NYC. What's up, M2AX? What's up, the Bronxite? Yeah, I love New York. New York is one of my favorite places in the world. Probably second only to London. How is this view? I'll leave it on this. This is fine. It's just a casual live lesson. Alright, I'm going to my Patreon page to check out who has asked questions. And this week, we're going to talk about... Let's find out. This is Sunday, 12:30. Okay, first question from Rachel Thomas. A tip on how to practice left-hand syncopated ostinato no more than an octave and improvise over it would be welcome. Practice left-hand syncopated ostinato. I have a lot of left-hand ostinatos in my compositions. That's actually how I started getting to know them better for myself. Hey, what's up, Rachel? I see you logged on. Great. So, have you ever checked out the Spirit Fingers material? I have a band called Spirit Fingers. If you look up Spirit Fingers, Greg Spiro, that's my real name, you can find that online. So check out that material. There are... So the way that I composed... Well, let me read the rest of this question first. You started last week, but I asked too late. It was time to go. I can manage the other way around. Regular in left hand and syncopated in right hand. Anyway, topic cover is interesting. Okay. So, and then we'll get to Bob's question after that, because I see Bob has a question on breathing. But Rachel, you're trying to get your left hand more capable of being of playing a repeated pattern on its own. That's not just a quarter note. I composed some tunes. Here, let me fix this. I composed some songs that were specifically to practice this left-hand ostinato idea. And I have them on my Spirit Fingers record, which one of them the left hand goes like this. And then the melody is... on. The melody's longer than that. But that might be a fun exercise, and it's an odd time signature exercise. It's actually 17/16. So this might be a little advanced for some people, but give it a shot. So you play the quarter note with your thumb, and then with the left hand, I'm just doing A flat major to F minor to D flat major with the Lydian scale back to F minor. But I'm doing 4 bars with an added 16th note every time. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the next one comes on the second 16th note. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Then the third one comes on the third 16th note 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E, and then that's the 4th 16th note, 3E and a 4E and then back on 1. So it ends up being a long 17 on top of a short 17, because each of these is 17 16th notes. And that's a really good way to get syncopation and dexterity in the ostinato in your left hand, creating patterns like that. I originally just did it for practice patterns. So, I mean, that's half true. I made it to compose, but it was also a practice pattern. And put on a metronome on the quarter note so you can hear if you're off. And then you can improvise over it. And the improvisation is what really will give you the practice of the counterpoint, the rhythmic counterpoint between the two hands and the independence. But you just improvise, like pick an octave, the octave exercise, and then improvise within that octave. And then challenge yourself. Try to stretch yourself rhythmically. So that's a good exercise for that. There's actually another, so that's complicated. I probably shouldn't have skipped too quickly to that. But there's another exercise here where you can do the ostinato like a guitar. I want to show you something that's kind of cool here. I'm going to get my guitar out. So, check this out. When you do a guitar pattern, the picking pattern, there's this normal picking pattern that people do that's kind of standard. Like, it was way out of tune. Ooh. Sorry, one sec. One second. All right, that's close enough. Okay, so this picking pattern, well, so check this out. It's a very standard picking pattern that people do, and you hear it in folk songs all the time. So it's one of those things that is ingrained in our ears, but people don't really do it on piano because it's not as intuitive to play that on piano. But it can be really fun to emulate that with this pattern. And it gives you a familiar ostinato, and then you can improvise over it. And what I like to do is mess with this in a way that's you pick rhythms in your right hand that that are challenging, but stretch your limits, but don't go beyond your limits, like this. So see, that was a pattern that was on the offbeats, and I'm still being melodic with it, because you always want to be melodic when you practice, unless it's just straight up exercises. But this isn't a straight up exercise. This is an exercise for rhythm and musicality. It covers several different things at the same time. I also incorporated another little exercise in there, which is the call and response exercise. You can pick a response and change the call every time, and that will help you. That will help your brain remember the things that you're playing and pay more attention to them, and therefore you will naturally be more musical in your playing. So, if you'll notice what I did there, that was my response, and my call can be whatever. So. Some other stuff like more free playing in your right hand, but keep this ostinato going and play it with a metronome. So that's the idea there. I hope that answers your question. Rachel, does that answer your question? That's a way to do an ostinato, a syncopated ostinato in the left hand. It'll stretch your left hand's capabilities a lot. And the key is to keep doing it every day for like 5 minutes. Just put in 5 minutes a day on one of these ostinatos, and then play in the right hand. Also, it'll sink in over time. Okay, so I'm going to answer Bob's question now also. There's a method, so Bob wrote this on the Patreon page, the method to practice breathing during playing. Now, I've thought about this a lot throughout my time practicing, which has been like, essentially, 30 years really, but because I started playing when I was 3, but 31 years now, because I'm 34, wow. But the real practice started in college, and I was also meditating, so I would think of these breathing exercises. And one would be, so I also chant. I also do a Buddhist meditation where you chant the words Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and so sometimes I would actually incorporate the chant into my scales, which is kind of weird, I know, but and when I had a roommate in Chicago, she thought it was insane. But I would put the metronome on really slow. Where's my metronome? So I always start with a really, really slow metronome. So let's do 40 beats per minute. That's my go-to. That's 90. Oh, come on, metronome. So 40 beats per minute. I'm going to save this preset too. And now, first I'm going to show you the less crazy way, the less seemingly insane way of doing it, which is you do your scales, and I do these scales every day very slowly. Except I also do it on the offbeat, so I'm going to show you how that's done because this isn't a specific lesson. This is covering a lot of different things. So I do this exercise every day where I count that beat, but I subdivide it into 8 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And on the 8th beat of that is where I actually start my internal beat. So I count 7 and then restart in my head. So this is on beat 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now I'm a beat. I'm a 30-second note ahead of that. So I have to keep my internal clock, and that's just telling me if I'm off instead of keeping it for me. So I would do these scales. And then the half step up, etc. But what I still do this sometimes is I actually vocalize them too. And I'll try to be on pitch with them. I'm not a singer, and I'm not always on pitch, but it helps you a little bit to try to internalize the sound and the pitch of the note as well. And so you take a deep breath and then let it out as you are playing these notes for the longest period of time you can, and then take another one. Here, okay. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So you're humming the tone as you're playing and going like all the way out until your lungs are completely empty. And I feel like this psychologically preps us to be taking long, deep breaths when we're playing. Because the worst possible thing for a player to do is to hold his breath. That's also why we allow ourselves to vocalize. And some people have made these comments on my videos, like, what is that gross vocalization you're doing? Well, listen to Keith Jarrett videos. When you vocalize, and you're first of all, we're always vocalizing when we listen to music. There's been studies that have been done where they have people listen to music and they track their vocal cords, and their vocal cords actually resonate with the music naturally. So it's something that we do no matter what. But when we're creating music, we're speaking. It's speaking from this deep place within us, and we have to let go of our inhibitions. So vocalizing, when we are speaking from this deep place within us, it's a byproduct. And when we are completely present and let go of all inhibitions, that just happens naturally. Now, when you have lots of inhibitions, like many of us do, we get scared when we're playing, we get self-conscious about losing time, we get self-conscious about what the other people are thinking of us, and we get self-conscious about if what we're playing is good, we tense up and we stop breathing. And that's the worst thing that you can do. Absolute worst thing. Interesting. Breathing through a straw, Rachel, I've never tried that. I feel like it's less, and it's less, that would help you be, I think singers do that to try to make their diaphragm more powerful, but this isn't a matter of being more powerful. This is a matter of just being relaxed and letting it happen. So doing it slowly and peacefully. So allow yourself to vocalize when you're playing too. If you feel like, and listen to Keith Jarrett. He's not singing on pitch. He's singing whatever this like thing is coming up within him. It's like it sounds terrible, but it's that natural thing that happens with the body, the two things are not cause and effect, but there's a cause that is at the root of both of those things that has the same effect when you're present and relaxed. So allow yourself to vocalize when you're playing, and practice breathing and practice vocalization when you're doing scales. I hope that helps, Bob. Oh yeah. So, hey Con. And by the way, if anybody wants to ask a specific question on the Patreon page, if you're a Patreon, that's where I'm looking at these questions that will get priority. But without more there, I'm going to just go on the conversation here. So any tips to get rid of the habit of playing the same things when you're practicing over the same chord changes for longer periods of time? So that is what that's the essence of everything that I teach on this channel. Because there are so many pianists that know vocabulary because the music education system has trained people to be able to play vocabulary, but it's very deep and complicated and hard to play actual original ideas. It's hard to speak original ideas, it's hard to think of original ideas, and it's hard to play original ideas because we are inundated with the reason that we play can be accomplished on a basic level, which the reasons that we play are to, I mean, for some people it's self-esteem, for some people it's fitting in, for some people it's making money, for some people it's having something that you feel about yourself is great. But all of those reasons, you can get to a certain level just by playing shit that sounds like other people. So a lot of people don't get past that. And what I'm trying to press is that you need to get past that to have any sort of original voice and to not reach a plateau in everything in your playing, in your career, in your creativity. So that's why, for example, the last video that I watched, all you guys, there are 20 people watching this right now. I want you to go back and watch my video after this on Motivic development. That's one that will get you out of your routine of what you play and make you think about what you're playing. And in that exercise, I have you play Autumn Leaves, but I make you use one cell. It's called a cell, and it's a term that's used in classical music, especially in atonal contemporary classical music. You pick it's a 3-note grouping, so it's a whole step and a half step right next to each other. A total of a minor third. It can be used in any way. It can be flipped upside down, which if you flip it upside down, it looks like this. And it can be played in any order. There are only a certain number of combinations of notes you can have there. So use only that cell and try to enclose chord tones over Autumn Leaves with no time. So this is the first chord of Autumn Leaves, and now have your first idea. You're going to pick one of the chord tones, and it could be an upper extension, but mainly focus on chord tones. Let's say this is the chord tone, the 3. So my options to get to this 3 are, if that's part of the cluster, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this. Well, no, because that doesn't include that note. It could be any option that has that cluster in it that ends on that note. So I'm going to pick this. Da, da, da. And then the next chord is this. So I'm going to pick. Now notice I used that cell to enclose the 3. And I could have also go like that, even though that uses 2 notes that are out of the key, so it's a little weird, and you probably won't repeat that one. That one works better. So I picked the flat 9 there. And see, I was a little deceptive there. I used the flat 5 of the G going down there because that used that cell. But if you can do that, then you will start to create original ideas because you're limiting yourself and you're making yourself tune into what you're playing and and create from a thoughtful place that has nothing to do with your previous vocabulary. You're not going... That's a lick that everybody's played before. Sí, Justin. Yo hablo un poquito de español, pero quisiera aprender más. Necesito visitar España para practicar mi español y piano. Anyway, I'm going to get back to English because I'm pretty sure most of my listeners here are English. So check this out. Shoot, that was... There it is. So do it in time if you can. See, everything I just played there was with that motif. Use it, just that cell somewhere on the keyboard, and not that, that. But you could expand it. Let's make it harder. Instead of a whole step and a half step, let's do a whole step and a minor third. That's a cell. It's not going to line up with chord tones as much, but it still might be cool. So let's try it. So let's see. I have to be thoughtful about it first, so... What would this be? That's one because the minor third and the half step. No, I don't speak Russian. I wish I spoke Russian. Sorry. But so that's a really great exercise that can help you to get out of your playing of your traditional vocabulary that you know. And I have a whole lesson on it just earlier, so watch that previous video. Genius improviser, I understand what you're saying, but I don't think that's the problem. I don't think it's creative. I don't think it's directing your energy into keyboard technique. I think it's allowing your energy to flow. We have an infinite well of energy. The greatest pianist in the world right now is Keith Jarrett, and his energy just splatters all over the place. He's like standing up and doing these weird positions because he's and groaning because he's so deeply into it, and his music is so above and beyond anybody else, the way that he's able to play. So if that is the best, then and you have tons and tons of piano players that are stiff and don't vocalize and also play some like basic mediocre stuff that just repeats vocabulary that everybody else already uses, then I would say that it's unlikely that is the solution to playing better. I would say the solution to playing better is opening your mind and being more free rather than being more constricted. All right. I'm going to answer one more question and then we're going to call it for today. Let's see here. Does one plan... Hey, what's up, Chile? I love that people are watching all over the world. All right, does one plan which chord extensions they use before playing, or are you able to wing it each time? I'm originally a classical pianist trying to make comping more interesting. So The upper extensions are all the same. What's up, London? The upper extensions are all you have your 1, your 3, and your 5. This is C minor, right? 1, 3, and 5. You have those are your chord tones. You have your upper extensions, which is the 9. I'm sorry, the 7, the 9, the 11, and the 13. And then after that, you get back to the 1. So those are all your tones. It also uses all the notes in the scale, which has to do with the overtone series and a whole complicated science that we're not going to get into right now. So the way that you create compings, and it's not about having more interesting compings, it's about having more specific compings, because you are never going to play a comping that is new. They all have been done and they all have been referenced because you only have 12 notes to deal with in the first place. So and there are various ways of creating interesting specific and applicable compings, which I have some videos on those if you look through my channel. But to summarize those, some of them, like if you're doing left-hand comping, you start with the 1, 1, 3, 5, 7. Let's add the 9 and get rid of the 1 because you don't need the 1. The bassist is playing the 1. Now, what I could do is take the 9 and move it down an octave. There. And now that's something that outlines your chord in a very clear way, because you have this crunch right here that defines the 9 and the 3 of the chord, and then the 5 and the 7. So you could do that. This is a great comping too. Tons of people still use this. And then you could also take this B flat. Now when you go to the F, you have to take into account voice leading. So now this turns into this, and all your other notes can stay the same, and that's called voice leading, because now you're an F7, and instead of this being the 3 of C minor, now it's the dominant 7 of F. The G, instead of being the 5 of C minor, is now the 9 of F, and this, instead of being it moved from being the 7 of the minor 7 of C minor to the major 3 of F7. And then this becomes the 13 of F. So now it's an F13 chord, and it's a very interesting chord. So, and then using the same voice leading technique, which I explained in other things, I now would go to B flat here. So those are all, and you can also transcribe those compings if you want. That's just a 1-6-2-5 pattern on B flat, which is a helpful pattern to have. And then check out my other videos on compings as well. Someone asked about salsa. Interpret something salsa. I've gotten into Latin playing. I did a video with this guy who is a really, really great pianist out of New York. And he taught me about the essence of Latin playing being on the offbeats in the comping. That's where montunos come from. Like, and so I sort of created an exercise that I do for myself, where you do the, I think it's called a tumbao in the bass line, and I'll put it on a metronome. Like, let's do 3, 4, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a traditional Latin bass line. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'll add this to the left hand. So that's a fun exercise to do. It makes more sense if I give you all the beats. Check this out. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. So you get the idea. Yeah, that's a fun one, right? I actually do that exercise every few days. I'll just go through montunos like that, and it's not really a proper montuno, but that's where montunos are derived from. And then I'll do that through all the keys, and you can use that for any song, you know, like Autumn Leaves. So the scales that I'm using on Autumn Leaves, I'm not going to explain that now because I have a whole video on soloing over Autumn Leaves where I explain it's the C Dorian to F7 to B flat, and I go through all that stuff. Now, you want some ragtime? I'm not really a ragtime pianist, but I did practice some ragtime, and it's not. I mean, it's a very specific, like, you want to do tenths in the bass line, and it's like. So there are all these like things that I can't quite do because I have not done that. I haven't really practiced it in a long time. But if you want to practice ragtime, do a 10th year. Just do like, this is, do a blues. I can't quite do that. So it's all about reaching that 10th. Some people fake it, but you know. No, I have small hands. You don't understand, Javier. I have abnormally small hands, but I've worked on stretching my hands. Like if you see me in person and you compare your hand to mine, yours is probably bigger. But oh yeah, Oscar Peterson did stride a lot. He started practicing stride. But okay, so anyway, to get back to this, your left hand, it can stretch that far. Like most people they stretch like this because they haven't practiced it, so they can barely reach a 9th. But if you really stretch your hand, you can reach a 10th. I can't reach an 11th, and then so there are some things, some 10ths that I can't reach also, like the D. I can't quite do that, so I have to go like this. Easier. I should just play slowly, actually. So this is a D, obviously a D over that, over the B, F sharp, and then was a terrible progression. So that's a little stride for you, though I'm very, very much not an expert at stride. There are some people who can do like super clear versions of like can't do that for shit. It's a very, very, very sloppy. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not sure I want to. I'm not sure I want to do more teaching. I could play a little bit. by the way, somebody asked, I just saw somebody, while I was improvising, somebody asked if I had an album. I don't have an album of my solo piano stuff. Maybe I should make one. I have several records. Well, actually, I have like 8 albums that I put out, but I've taken them all down. Not 8, that's an exaggeration. I think 5. I have 5 albums that I put out, and I've taken all of them down except for one. There's one called Spirit Fingers. So if you look that up, if you look up Greg Spiro Spirit Fingers, you'll be able to see that. I also have a bunch of improvisations on this channel that you can watch, but not a solo piano record. I feel like I should do that. It's kind of nice just hanging out with you guys here, actually. I love that you're answering each other's questions in the chat room. That's really, really good. That's one of the most amazing things is people supporting each other. Thank you. Yeah, maybe I should do a solo record. I've got the studio here. I could just record it. Maybe I should just like put out some of my improvisations. I've recorded so many hours of improvisations. Well, thank you. I don't know how to pronounce melodigospun. I appreciate that. I appreciate that sentiment. One thing I love to do when I'm doing improvisations is to like mess with the inside of the piano like this. That's why I practice, so I can try to do shit like that I can't actually do yet. I'll stop to answer a couple questions. Thug Life, nice title there. To play like that, well, I have 2 videos. One is the How to Become a Well-Rounded Jazz Pianist video, and that has a lot of the elements that I've incorporated into this, just sort of laid out in a very logical and linear manner. But there's also a video on music theory that's really, really important. So it's for classical musicians, I believe, and I did it around the same time. But it's a video on like the basics of theory from a purely theoretical perspective. So it has mostly to do with classical. If you can get it, and it takes a lot of practice and a lot of dedication to get to a level where you can be fluid and play using all of those pieces of vocabulary. So you'll need a teacher. That's very important. To have somebody to like give you a sort of guide. And it's funny because most teachers actually don't even know how to guide a student on going down the path of learning something. They know what the student doesn't know, but they can't tell them how to learn it. So it's important to get a teacher like somebody who like me, or somebody who knows all of these things and can lay them out in a linear manner, that can look at your playing and say what you need to develop and give you a path. But then that could be one lesson with somebody, and then you can go on and do the path yourself, watching videos, and get feedback every once in a while. It's good to have feedback like once a month from somebody. That's the way to. And yes, it's a lot of memory, but it's not really conscious memory. I'm not thinking. Well, some of the time I am, but most of the time I'm not thinking, oh, I'm going to go into this theoretical thing right now that has to do with this. I'm looking at it after the fact and saying, oh, I did that theoretical thing, but it just kind of came out in that moment, which is not actually always like that. Sometimes I'll try a specific concept, but that's what I would say to you. Like get a mentor or a teacher to show you every once in a while. Watch these videos, watch other people's videos, and spend a lot of time on it and create a linear path to get to where you want to be. So you need to diagnose the things that you don't know how to do and then learn how to do them. If you're starting at the beginning, then just watch a beginner's video and start with the basics. And it takes time and patience and dedication. Yeah, do it slow. Totally. All right, guys, I'm going to go because it's been a little while. It's been about an hour. I really love doing this for you guys, so I'll look forward to it next week. If you want to ask any questions, I do online mentoring. I do online one-on-one mentoring. If any of you guys are interested, you can email me. My email is gns134@gmail.com. And we can try to schedule something. And then you can also ask questions that are specific. If you are a Patreon member, then go onto the Patreon page and ask a question there. I'll put up a thing for next week where you can ask the questions for next week's lesson. I'll put that down here also. Patreon.com/weeklypiano. Yeah, guys. All right. Well, happy practicing. Keep it up. Keep peace of mind. Be good to each other. And be good to yourself. And I look forward to talking to you next week.